This is a news sharing episode because you didn't know about the movie. Did you know that I got fired?
Mm-hmm.
How you know?
Mom told me.
Mom be snitching. Ooh, she be snitching. I tell you about the time that I got shot at.
What?
So what do you think about your dad getting shot at? That was one of the times, but
I'm not that shocked.
why? You're not shocked that I got shot at?
No, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like super shocking.
Like, what about me says that I was in shootouts when I was younger? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Welcome to the Dear Son Show, where we have conversations about fatherhood. It's for fathers, those with fathers, and the fatherless, so nobody's left out. No topics are off limit because I would want my son to have access to all of these conversations, and that's the premise. Speaking of my son, he has made another appearance. He's making another appearance on the show. Son, what's good with you, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
Doing well? Mm-hmm. Summer's coming to a close, at least the non-school part of summer.
Mm-hmm.
What are you excited about, or are you even excited about getting back into school?
Yes, I'm excited about getting to school. I'm also excited for the audio and visual class that I have. It's really interesting. Yeah, I want to learn about that.
Okay. What do you think you want to do with it?
I might want to pursue a career if I like it or find it interesting enough.
Okay.
It's definitely an option.
Yeah. I'm excited because clearly I'm into audio and visual, and I'm learning as well. But it would be great for you to take a liking to it so that you can help. And, maybe you have some ideas and stuff that you want to produce as well. But it is very overwhelming to try to do all of it at once. Of course, I have a partner, your Uncle James, that's helping us out here at Bang Board Studios for this episode. But even with two people, there's still things to miss. So it would be great to have that thing in common with you, especially if you take a liking to it. So I'm looking forward to it. Did you know I'm writing a movie? I probably didn't tell you.
Writing a movie?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, man. We're writing a movie. It's loosely based on some of the events that I've experienced in life, especially these last several years in my corporate career. What do you think about that? Just first of all.
That's new.
That's new?
Mm-hmm. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. Got a lot, man. I again, part of this whole process is me learning how to communicate. So I have a lot of stuff that I think through and develop, and I don't share with a lot of people. So it's not just you. But your mom knows. I don't know if anybody else in the family knows. There's some characters based on our family. So there's two opportunities. One, to provide input as to how that character is developed through the story, and two, to actually be an actor or an actress for your sisters. But I'm excited about it, man. It's I feel like I always need a creative outlet, and I haven't always found one. So I think that's part of why for a long time I was just stressed out. I looked stressed out, and my actions suggested I was stressed out. So, how you feel about being an actor?
An actor?
Or would you rather just provide written contributions and ideas about how my son in the story develops?
I think I could be an actor.
Okay.
Acting is interesting.
Okay. Well, we're going to see for sure. So since this is a news sharing episode, because you didn't know about the movie, did you know that I got fired?
Mm-hmm.
How you know?
Mom told me.
Mom be snitching. Ooh, she be snitching. Yeah, so it's not as cut and dry as a normal termination. It's because of my position. There's a way that certain people in certain roles get exited. So I'm not panicked or stressed about money. We got to be smarter about some things, but luckily, thank God that we're financially prepared for a good amount of time that doesn't cause pressure to immediately to run something else, run to something else. My dad lost his job when he was 50, some papa, when he was about 51 or 52. He was in a different position and he pretty much got 2 weeks notice, and whatever money he had at that time was the money he had at that time. So I learned a very valuable lesson about corporate from watching him, is that any day could be your last day. That doesn't mean that you show up and do nothing because you always expected to get terminated, but you always got to be aware that you need to have options in life. So again, if you're looking to get into film, that could really play out into our family dynasty, because that's what I want to do. I want to create content that helps people that look like us, people that don't look like us, and just really have a positive family. What I want to say, presence in the media space. So since you known that I got fired, what did you think when you heard that?
I mean, I don't know. I know that it must have sucked. Probably unexpected, but these things happened. And as you said, we are financially prepared.
Oh, we are. Okay. I mean, that's interesting. We have to talk about that offline. But I get what you're saying. So it wasn't a shock, because a lot of things happened leading up to it where I could kind of tell that it was going that way. I'd actually been mentally preparing since I didn't get the role that I was acting in for about a year. For about a year and a half, I was the acting vice president of the organization that I work for. And that's the highest position within the supply chain organization. That position was formally given to somebody else. Not given, but they chose somebody else. So in my mind, I already knew, because of the level of experience that I had, that at some point that was going to be an off ramp for me. And that was more than a year now. And then my company got bought by another company. Do you understand what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then, they had people in similar positions, and I had been through the process on the other side where the company that I worked for, when I was in that position, we bought other companies. Then you have to make decisions about who stays, who goes. So I wasn't really surprised. I will say, when the news was delivered, it sent a little shock, because there's preparing for it and then there's actually hearing the words. So when I heard the words, and then that was, there's some finality associated with it. So my last day is going to be October 3rd. So I'm still employed now. But yeah, so it was much more difficult for me to watch my dad go through it, because he and I worked at the same company at the time. So imagine if you and I work for the same company, we both show up to work one day and they tell me I'm fired, right? And then you still work there. How do you think you would feel if that was the case? If we both work for the same company, they fired me, but they kept you, how would you feel as an adult?
As an adult,
if you can put yourself in those shoes.
I think I would feel like that would be unfair. It would definitely be a change, going from something I'm used to something that I'm not used to. I'm not sure completely how I would feel, like in its entirety, but that's what I can gather so far.
Yeah, because you don't feel the responsibility of bills and the cost of life and all of that, and that's something that your mom and both of us need to do is make sure that you and your siblings are aware of how life works financially. I don't think that you're completely unaware of the value of money, but I think it would open your eyes to see what it costs to run the house, right? Then you might think differently. Then you might understand why I'm annoyed when certain things are not taken care of. You're not doing your chores, and we're not keeping the house as we need to as a family. Because it's a really big investment. And it's not an investment that I mind making because I love my family. There's just, we gotta keep working. We gotta work together to make sure that the house is taken care of. So what do you think about what do you think my next move should be?
Your next move? I mean, I think you should keep doing this and what makes you happy.
Why?
Because I don't know, I can see it going somewhere.
But why do you think it's important for you to be happy doing earning a living?
Because you could have a lot of money, but that won't make you happy. And you'll just be living and working for the money. And that's not a good way to live. That could be mentally draining.
You don't say. That's practically how I lived for the last 10 years, last 7 years for sure. I was making decisions based on, it's not that I didn't like the work. It wasn't as fulfilling as like this is. I think the impact that I could have in that space, I think I had achieved it. So it was hard to find something like what is the thing that I'm focusing on that keeps me in a good headspace and makes, coming to work easy every day or desirable every day. And again, I'm thankful for it because it helped position as well. So I never want you to think that sometimes you have to do what you don't necessarily want to do at that time to set you up to do the things that you want to do. My actual goal is to facilitate options for you and your siblings and even your mom to where you don't have to go through that process as long. And it doesn't mean that you know right away what you want to do. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how this audio visual experience plays out for you. I want to talk about like safety in school. Like, do you feel safe? Because you're living in a very different world than how I grew up. And the way conflicts play out today are very different than how they played out when I was in school. So when I was in school, you could actually have a fight and that could be the end of it. Now it doesn't even get to a fight. There are people, students your age and maybe even younger that don't have the mental capacity to deal with the life that they're living. And then they kind of take it out on other people. How do you feel when you go to school?
How do I feel?
Like in terms of safety, or are you even aware or conscious of?
Yeah, I'm aware and conscious of it. That's kind of a difficult question to answer.
Because it might not be something that you go think about. It's not in terms of making you scared, but I worry a lot about y'all being aware of your surroundings, and we do our best to position, like where we live and in the school districts and the opportunities to be seemingly least likely for those things to happen. But as we saw in, your school districts over the last couple of years, that things happen. So I'll tell you about the time that I got shot at.
What?
Maybe it's a good time. Story time. So my senior year, I graduated from high school the summer after my senior year. Between graduating and going to college, we ran into an incident. So the friends that I was hanging out with then, a lot of them, Uncle Walt, Marcus, Junie. I don't think you met Grog. I don't know if you met Mike or some other people, but we like the people that you're likely to see me around now, especially when I go home, are the people that I hung out with then. And one of the individuals had a girlfriend or had a female friend that was didn't have his best interest in heart, right? So I think she started talking to somebody else, or another guy was jealous, and it came to a point where the answer was to fight, physically fight, to go square up. And he calls me and he says, "Hey, we got a problem. I need y'all. We got to ride up here and take care of something." And at that time, that's what made sense to me. So what I did was I gathered the people in my car that I was confident in. Like if we actually had to, if we were going to fight, you want to make sure that you got people that know how to fight, right? Or stay away from it. Stay away from it, period. Just lose the store. So we go, it's this dramatic carpool. I think it's two cars. We're going up to where the individual lives. So we're going to their neighborhood. Bad idea, right? Just for whatever that's worth. Know your surroundings. On the way there, the guy that had the problem with the girl stops and calls her and says, hey, me and my boys, we on our way, blah, 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 hyping the whole thing up. So they had all the information on us and, the time that we would arrive, we had no information on them. Like I didn't even know the guy that he had a problem with. I don't even know if I saw him. So we get to the neighborhood and it's a long street and a dead end. And the one of the two cars that was the group that I was with parks. They drive up, they park, and they start walking. I wasn't comfortable, so I circled around because I wanted to see what the environment was. And I pull up to this one particular area, and this is a neighborhood similar to what do you remember our first house in Hampton? You were very small before we moved to Northern Virginia, but a neighborhood like Grandma Jean and Papa's, a neighborhood like that. So it's not like we pulled up to a slum or anything like that, or anything that looked like projects. Regular neighborhood. We pull up, and this guy walks out from a bush. He walks towards me, pulls out his pistol. Now, I'm so in the mode of let's fight, I'm not processing it fast enough. I'm still thinking that we're about to be superheroes and get out and beat these guys up. But he walks towards me, and he cocks the gun. Then he walks to the back of the car. Now, the car that I had was an 88 Toyota Camry. You probably can't even fathom what that is. But you can thank Papa for this. Sometimes when you hit the gas, the car wouldn't move. It would stall out. Guess what happened this time?
It didn't move?
It did not move. So I hit the gas, and I'm still looking at the guy walking to the back. Like I said, he cocked his pistol. As the car starts to slowly move, he shoots the back window up and hits one of my friends in the shoulder. To further show how stupid we were at that time, you would think when somebody gets shot, the answer is to go
to the hospital.
Very good. It's not exactly what our first train of thought was. Everybody thought about where we could go to get a gun because nobody in my car had a gun. We were between 17 and 19, the oldest person maybe, or maybe 20. But we didn't have any guns, and that wasn't our normal thing to walk around with guns. Like I said, because at that time, if you had to fight, you would fight. You either win or lose. But something, my boys in the back, he's like, I'm hit. And we're driving for a little bit, and I was like, man, we got to go to the hospital. Like, because I couldn't, like if something happened and I didn't know how bad it was, right? But even him being hit was like, no, let's go find some guns so we can figure this out. And we ended up going to the hospital, and my mom came up there, and like my parents came up there, and to me, it still wasn't a big deal. I understood the gravity, but everybody was still thinking about how we're going to get some payback. And after that, the guy wasn't injured that bad. He got grazed. He was still traumatic, but he ended up being okay. But after that, my dad made me stay inside for a little while, right? Because he didn't know what else was coming with it. And I was so upset about having to stay inside, and I couldn't understand it then, but now, me being a father with children, parents see things that you don't see, and they make decisions that seem like they're drastic, but a lot of times it's to protect you from being how stupid you can be at that age. So what do you think about your dad getting shot at? That was one of the times, but
that's. I got a question.
Okay.
What do you think would have happened if he didn't get shot and you went to get the gun?
One of us probably would have died. Somebody would have died.
Did you like ever, like when you were younger, like fully grasp like the weight of the situation?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for a time I was mad, but the thing was, I probably couldn't pick the guy out of a lineup. If he could have been. Since then, I've always wondered, have I seen him again? Right, and as much as big of an incident as it was, and it wasn't social media then, so it wasn't like it happened and now it's on IG or whatever, other platforms that y'all use. So it didn't travel like that, but word traveled, and we never found out who that person was. I actually had a cousin that lived in that area and was keeping his ears to the street, but we never actually found out who the person was. So I don't know if he was from that area or what, but that could have been a very, like, you couldn't have been here if that night went a little bit different. I wouldn't have been here if that night went a little bit different. But I don't want to have that in common with you. Like, I want to have these conversations so that my experience is sufficient for you to move differently. I don't want to have it in common that we got shot at. That's not something I want to celebrate. So when I make certain decisions, and you're not one that's like always trying to run off and go somewhere, or like when I was your age, 15, yeah, I would be everywhere in the neighborhood. I mean, not far, but a mile or 2 miles, or even on bikes. That wouldn't be out of the question, but that's not necessarily you. And that's, again, because of COVID. COVID kind of hijacked your childhood or your adolescence, so to speak. But yeah, I did grasp the gravity of it. I won't say that kept me out of any similar situation before. I mean, or after that. But it was a good mile marker in life to say, thank God, number one, and two, make sure that, again, I provide instruction that make sure that I'm open and available for you to talk to, so that you don't have to find yourself, like, you don't have to prove anything. That's one thing I want you to know. I didn't feel like I was proving anything, but there's nothing you have to prove to me about being tough. Tough guys end up on T-shirts. 2 weeks later, people stop talking about them. R.I.P. or the tough guy that goes to jail. Free my guy. I get it that you're supposed to say that, or that's the expectation, but there are true consequences to actions, especially when you lack information. So, your dad wasn't a gangster, far from it. Just found myself in some situations and put myself in other situations that I didn't have to, but grew me up really, really quick. Thoughts?
That's an experience. It's definitely something.
How do you think you would have reacted?
If I got shot at?
Yeah. If you were around a gun, somebody pulled out a gun, how do you think you react? Because I've been around that more times than, yeah.
I'd probably be scared. Mm-hmm. I try to get away from it, but it's a gun. There's not much you can do.
Yeah. And as scared as you are, the person holding the gun probably is scared too. Mm-hmm. And that is the more, that's the worst part. Scared person with a gun, I don't want to be around them ever, whether I know them or not, because they're not thinking rationally. And the gun doesn't have feelings. It just goes off, and the bullet goes wherever it's pointed. Yeah, things are very different. Have you ever found yourself in a compromising situation where you didn't know what was going to happen and you thought maybe there was some danger?
I don't think so.
Good. Part of me is saying good, and part of me is like, but if it happens, how will he react? It's the difficulty of being a parent, especially a father, is what's preparing you and what's propelling you to a life that isn't necessary for you. Those are kind of my struggles. Like, do I want my son to be tough? Tough is relative. I don't want you to be an aggravator or the person, or an assailant instigating stuff. But That's why you were in jujitsu, because things happen. I don't want you to. I don't want you to have to freeze up if if that situation is brought to you. So yeah, you're doing a whole lot of listening. My shock is this a shock episode for you? Things you didn't know.
It's a lot of things I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm not that shocked.
Why? You're not shocked that I got shot at?
No, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like super, super shocking. It's not like I expected that. It's just like, I don't know.
Is it because you see so much of it happen on the internet that you're desensitized, or because I'm asking specifically me? Like, what about me says that I was in shootouts when I was younger? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's not like, oh, my dad definitely got shot at when he was younger. It's just, I don't know.
Does it give you a different or expand your perspective on who your father is?
Yes.
Like
you have a lot of experiences and situations that have changed your thinking. That's interesting. That probably influenced the way you try to raise your kids, so they never have to go through what you went through.
Yeah, and again, I had a good life. I made some poor decisions that made life difficult at times. So I don't want you to think that, again, your dad wasn't a gangster. He wasn't out here looking. When I made those decisions, it wasn't a life that I had to live. And again, I never put energy out there that I was tough, but we also didn't run from a lot of situations that were presented. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a look into who I am. You asked a lot of good questions last time that you were on the show, and again, I hope that you're on more episodes. We have to figure that out now. The school is starting back, but maybe we'll figure out how to do it on the weekends if you're open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts?
Yeah. So you got to know how to run a show. You got to know how to move and pivot if you're going to be in audiovisual.
Mm-hmm. This is definitely an interesting episode. I learned a lot of things that I didn't know about you. That's good. I'm excited to know more about the movie that you're producing. Do you think you're going to write a book, or you want to write a book?
Yeah, I started the process to write a book, and I know your mom wants to write one too. I don't know. We haven't decided if we'll write one together, but we both have experiences before, during marriage that will be helpful to others. So yes, what I need to do is put a deadline on it, because it's something I've been thinking about for a few years. I've taken different stabs at it in terms of organizing thoughts, but I actually started writing the intro probably a few months ago, and then I put it down. So one thing that I'm going to have to do once my formal corporate life is, well, this phase of it anyway, is paused, is to make sure that I am organizing my time to do all of these things, because we got a lot of things we want to do. You know, we got apparel, we got various podcasts, the movie that I mentioned. We're helping other people with podcasts, working with James on shooting movies with other people, for other people. So it's a lot that can occupy my time. And if I'm not careful about it, I'll be doing a whole bunch of stuff and finishing nothing. So yeah, I'm very interested in writing a book.
You know what the name of your movie is going to be?
The Fall to the Top.
That's an interesting name.
I thought so. Somewhat of an interesting guy at times. Yeah. So yeah, back to school, man. I'm still proud of you. I appreciate you having this conversation with me, and just want you to know that I'm still open. Even sometimes if I don't look like it, can't necessarily read my face and know exactly what I'm thinking. constant poker face. But yeah, that's going to do it. We do want to shout out Listen More, Talk Less. That's what this logo is right here. I'm going to sit up. Listen More, Talk Less. Son got the... There you go. Son got it too. Listen More, Talk Less. Very self-explanatory, very valuable lesson. It's really a life hack. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. But yeah, this is a strong Black-owned brand out of Virginia, 757, where we're from. So we'll always support those that support us. We'd like to thank them for sponsoring this episode. The link to the information to order will be in the show notes or in the comment section, depending on how you're ingesting this content. And they do custom orders. That's the cool thing. They do custom orders. So if you got school colors that you like, I don't know what the bounds are, but I've seen so many variations of it, and quality materials. They got the hats too. And again, we'll put that information down below, but listen more, talk less. We appreciate you being a sponsor. As always, Johns & Co. is our family company, family brand, where we produce various products. We have the Healthy Marriage is Dope flagship collection from that is one of the brands. My wife also has Love Keisha J. I think it's Opulence and Earth is her jewelry collection, doing very well. And we're excited about how it's growing. So we'll wrap here. We appreciate you guys. God bless you. Peace.
That was good.